Delta0125 here again, another rant. Basically, this one's going to be covering, why it's so important to keep a personal firearms record. And before we start the rant, I'm going to just go off on a little bit of one of my own. I did have two of my firearms stolen, the MAC-10 and the AK, which I covered in my last, rant before last, I guess. Something like that. I covered it in one of my, my updates here on YouTube. I covered it. I believe it was the one where I was holding the rat dog. And yes, she is a rat terrier. Anyways, I do plan on getting at least two more AKs if possible, and maybe an M1 carbine and AR-15 lower. But for the most part, I'm going to be covering why it's so important to record your firearm stuff. Now, what this is an actual ATF, booklet that my pawn shop, by the way, which is a very good pawn shop, actually gives you with pretty much every single purchase you buy. They give you this, the mandated firearm trigger lock with the keys, and then they actually give you a little booklet here which holds your personal information about your firearm as well as a receipt for it. Now, anyways, what you do is you write down the manufacturer, the importer over here, then the model, serial number, type in action, caliber, gauge, date acquired, cost, purchase location, name and address, and so on and so forth. And if you can't fit the full info in here, like address and all that stuff, name, address, how or where you got it from pretty much, then what I would do, not necessarily keep a big old thing like this with your receipt in there, but at least like something like this, let me back this camera out real quick. Something like this, a little business card, you just slide it in here with that. And then, don't tape the thing closed because it's cheap paper, but, sort of like cardboard paper. But, anyways, what you should do is, like, keep a rubber band around it or something like that, keep this stuff in there. Just so, if the cops need to write down everything about their, business for some odd reason like this, like fax number and the regular number, and their freaking even their email address, stuff like that. And then they even got their address and their city, all that stuff. Just keep this in here with it. I keep mine pretty much in there with my firearms records. But pretty much why it's important to keep this in case something happens to you like it did to me. Apparently the gangbangers ain't exactly all for home invasions. I'm not going to say that they're not for it, because there have been plenty of them where people have had their firearms stolen. Which, by the way, is how shit like massacres happens with a stolen firearm in general. But, yeah, pretty much you should keep one of these with all your stuff written down. That way, if your stuff does get stolen, when the operator asks for the information, you can tell them everything what happened, give them a general description of the vehicle if you can, give them a general description of your firearm and your, your serial number and all that. And then the investigator that comes over will originally be a police officer, which will show up and take your, report, and then possibly a detective will come over and take the rest of your report afterwards, get more information. If the person left a stolen firearm, like the dumbass did when he stole my firearms, you can turn that into the detective. I wouldn't necessarily hand it to the cop, because the cop will most likely be the one trying to put you in handcuffs, whereas the detective will be more understanding. If you say this guy just dropped his firearm and left it, or this guy was trying to sell me this firearm, but I told him to take it with him when he left, and he left it here, which is what happened in my instance, because he was trying to sell it to me, and then he told me got it from a tweaker friend. In my mind, that rings out stolen. Red flags went up. I was like, yeah, you better take this when you leave. The guy didn't even left it here, so I turned it into the detective. But detectives are generally more understanding about stuff like that. So, yeah, if the person's dumb enough to leave one there, turn it into a detective, because it's most likely stolen too, and at least some firearm owner out there might get their firearm back. If they're willing to go through the hoops and, jumps and shit to get their firearm back. But, anyways, yeah, pretty much, just keep one of these handy, keep the business card handy, and if your firearm's ever stolen, obviously report it immediately. But that's how most criminals get their firearms, by the way, is stealing them. Not necessarily buying them off the streets, but stealing them. So, yeah, but I've got more friends that can put more insight into that if they want. I don't know. I might make a future YouTube video with, you know, some of them off camera talking about it. But yeah, pretty much stolen firearms is the #1 way that criminals get their firearms. So these gun buyback programs are nothing but a reward for the criminal, believe it or not. There are some law-abiding citizens turning in their own firearms, but then it's just a complete rip-off and a scam. You know, then the police get to destroy like $1,000 firearm for $200 worth of, you know, whatever, and a gift card. Or in the case of, I believe it was Massachusetts, you turn in your firearms and get a free flu shot. No thanks. I would not rather, you know, get stabbed in the arm for turning in my firearm. Fuck that. Especially when insurance pretty much covers it. But, and by that I mean the flu shot, not the gun. But, anyways, also if your firearms get stolen, you might want to go through the hoops and jumps and all that of your insurance. If your insurance covers it, your homeowner's insurance, which like Yankee Marshall had a video on it, and your homeowner's insurance will give you a lot more. By the way, I'm going to strangle that dog, I swear to God. Anyways, sorry about that. Anyways, yeah, if you go through the hoops and jumps and all that of going to your insurance, which if you watch Yankee Marshall's video, there's not that much more for, or it's not that much more for covering your firearms. I would do that over the NRA's protection program, because Ed has actually told me, Zombie Master Ed 25, has told me that he turned in, let's see, an insurance claim for, I believe, 3 of his firearms that were stolen, and pretty much the guy ran off after seeing him on his workbench. You know, he grabbed 2 rifles and threw a handgun in his waistband or whatever, ran off. But Ed walked outside and the guy was running down the street. Anyways, he's filed out the insurance claim for that and everything. And, yeah, pretty much he got, like, I think he said around $700, $750, but he had to tell him that it was in excellent condition. And meanwhile, his guns, his Mosin Nagant, which wasn't really worth that much, it was probably the $50 he threw in, and then the others are probably $350. I mean, I'm not saying Mosin Nagant's a piece of crap, but everyone knows they're cheap. Whoops, almost tipped over my camera. Anyways, yeah, he only got $750 for 3 firearms. His AR-15, which he built himself, which if anyone's ever bought an AR-15 and built it, they know it's expensive. His Mosin Nagant and a Beretta 92 FS. Only got $750 for 3 guns. But, anyways, yeah, the NRA is not going to give you very much for their insurance claim program. But, your homeowner's insurance might actually cover the whole cost of the firearm. And by the way, the reason why I'm holding this book down is because I've got my actual insurance, or not insurance, sorry, my actual firearms record underneath this one, which is a spare one that I have. And the other one's actually filled out. So I don't want, you know, the Black Wookie, as we'll call him, or asshole, as Ed calls him, to, you know, get my serial numbers, because he'll probably report him stolen himself like an asshole. Anyways, I know that's not slander, that's my personal opinion. Anyways, yeah, keep your firearms record and keep, your stuff like this. You know, keep a business card in with your firearms record of each business that you went to for each of the guns. Just keep it in there with like a rubber band around it, you know. And then keep your thing like this, if you get one, you know, that holds your receipt and all that. Keep that in with your personal firearms record, but keep them all, you know, bound up with a rubber band so you don't accidentally lose them. But anyways, that's enough for this rant about what to do about stolen firearms. If you got any questions or comments, leave them below. I'll get back to them as soon as I can. I generally check my inbox every time I sign into YouTube. So, yeah, this has been Delta 0125. See you all next video. Thanks for watching.